my channel. My name is Jodie, and in this video I'm going to do my first ever kind of horror franchise ranking video. Now I say first ever, I don't know how many of these I'm going to actually be doing, but I was basically off this week, and just one of the days, like, I just decided, fuck it, I'm just going to watch all of the Texas Chainsaw movies. There was a few of them in the franchise that I hadn't seen before, so I was just in the mood, and I just decided I'm going to watch them all. Then kind of as I was watching them, I was kind of formulating kind of some thoughts on the movies, and just decided, yeah, once I was done, I would basically just do like a video on the channel, just kind of doing a little ranking. So yeah, there is 9 movies in total in this franchise. On the first day that I started doing this, I watched 7 of them, and then I just couldn't watch any more that day. It was just getting too late, and I was a little bit kind of leather-faced out, to be honest, so I just watched the next 2 the next day. So yeah, 9 movies in total to kind of rank and kind of talk through. I will try and keep my thoughts as brief as possible, just because I'll be here all day, but I definitely had a lot of fun watching these movies, and yeah, especially kind of checking out the ones I hadn't seen before. But there is a couple as well that I was just really excited to revisit. It's been a while since I've seen them, and yeah, I just had a great time watching all these, to be fair. So yeah, just for a bit of background, I am a massive Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan. You know, like, not to kind of bury the lead or anything, but the first one it's one of my all-time favorite horror movies. I think it's one of the most, for me anyway, personally, it's one of the most kind of effective horror movies that I've ever seen. I kind of saw it kind of at the right time as well. I think I was probably in my early teens when I first came to the original Texas Chainsaw, and yeah, I just remember kind of being blown away by just how effective it was, to be honest, and just kind of how raw it was. Like, genuinely, to this day, I still kind of think it's one of the most like horrific kind of situations. You know, if you were to kind of put yourself in the shoes of I guess of the victims or the people kind of experiencing kind of what happens in the film, it's definitely one of the most kind of horrific horror films, and definitely kind of left an impact on me. But again, I think it's one that's kind of stuck with me and that I've kind of revisited, you know, over the years. So yeah, I just really love it. And then I had kind of seen a couple of the, as I said, I've seen a couple of the sequels over the years, but there was a lot that I was kind of avoiding, to be honest. And yeah, the reasons will probably become pretty clear as I kind of get into the ranking. But yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to get started and start with basically number 9, which is my my least favourite, and what I consider to be the worst in the franchise. So definitely in at number 9, maybe it won't come as any surprise if you have seen this film, but yeah, number 9, the bottom place, has to be this one, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. So this, oh god, this film was so bad. And look, I know this film has kind of had bad ratings, and I really tried to kind of go into this film with an open mind. I always like to kind of find something, like at least one kind of thing that I like in a film, even if I'm not enjoying the film. But I literally couldn't even think of one kind of nice thing to say about this film. And I gave it like a half star as well on Letterboxd, and I really can't even think of what the half star is for. It was genuinely like that bad. So yeah, I actually don't even have the case for this one. When I ordered this one, CEX actually just sent me the disc, so I don't have the case. But it's like, look, it's not, I don't want it to take up space in my collection anyway, so it's not too bad. But yeah, as I said, this film, I don't even know what to kind of say about this film. It was absolutely horrendous. I know it is definitely a lot more of a kind of satirical kind of take on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they I guess the intention was to kind of reboot it for like more of a 90s audience, and to kind of I guess in a way that you don't need to know the original story. But they just didn't even do like a good job of that. I was kind of hoping maybe it was going to be kind of something similar to like what they did with Halloween H2O, which I really enjoy. And they basically kind of take a franchise and they kind of reboot it, but you know, I guess kind of make it, you know, make it a little bit kind of different from the original and kind of reboot it, bring it to a modern audience and just have a lot of fun. And there wasn't even any fun to be had in this, as far as I could tell. It was really, really a slog to get through. And yeah, they kind of did try to, I guess, kind of make jokes. The comedy for me didn't land. The characters were just absolutely horrendous. Like I literally just kind of wanted them all to die. Like there was no one I was kind of rooting for, to be honest. Yeah, just nothing in this film kind of worked for me, unfortunately. And I didn't like the kind of direction they took Leatherface. And yeah, I genuinely can't really think of kind of much to say about it. Of course, if you are a Texas Chainsaw fan, definitely check it out, see what you think. Maybe you'll get something from it, but I literally couldn't even find one thing that I really kind of liked about this. And yeah, it's one that if I'm ever like doing like a marathon again, I just feel like I'm just going to skip this one. I just think it was just an absolute turkey, to be honest. So yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation, definitely not for me. And it gets the 9th spot in my ranking. So then next we have in spot number 8, it is another one. This one is not on physical media because I think it's just a Netflix exclusive. So this one is it's from 2022, and I think it's just called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 2022 Netflix kind of version. And I kind of just want to kind of state where all of these kind of exist in the kind of canon as well, because a lot of these, they kind of come in at different times, you know, kind of pre the first movie and then post. So this one is very much kind of set in the modern kind of era in 2022 in Texas. And kind of, first of all, that kind of doesn't make any sense, to be honest with you, because like Leatherface would probably need to be about 90, but we'll just kind of ignore it. I think some of these kind of expect you to kind of suspend your disbelief a little bit, which is absolutely fine. We can do that. But yeah, this one, just another like really bad film. Now I will say this one definitely kind of narratively made more sense. It did have a story, it had a start, it had a middle and an end, and it kind of had an intention, kind of, as opposed to, I think, the last one, The Next Generation, which I kind of felt was just very kind of pointless, to be honest. So essentially in this one, it's a new group of kind of teenagers, they're insufferable as well, by the way, absolutely horrendous kids. They basically come into this area of Texas where the massacre had happened, you know, obviously 50 years prior. And they basically kind of buy up all these kind of properties that are in this kind of little small town in Texas. All the properties are kind of run down and vacant, and they basically buy them all up with the kind of intention of kind of gentrifying the area and kind of making it like a kind of hip, kind of cool area, which kind of is stupid, but like you kind of just have to go along with it. And that's absolutely fine. But then yeah, of course they do come kind of face to face with Leatherface, and yeah, who, again, as I said, he probably should be getting on in years by now, but he's still going around, he's still apparently doing his thing. And yeah, that's fine. It kind of starts very kind of standard, just a very, very kind of bog standard kind of horror movie. But then what I kind of find most ridiculous about it, and where it really just kind of loses the run of itself, is that the character Sally comes back into this film. They try to do a Laurie Strode with Sally's character from the first movie, and she's basically now a Texas Ranger, and she wants to get revenge on Leatherface for kind of killing her friends and everything in the 70s. I mean, come on. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it kind of really kind of solidifies for me what the problem is with a lot of these kind of reboots and sequels and everything like that nowadays, is that they kind of have no sort of reverence or appreciation or respect for the original film or the original source material. And I kind of find like that's a problem with a lot of these kind of films nowadays. Like, I mean, for example, The Exorcist Believer. I've ranted and raved about that film a lot, but I think that the main thing that kind of annoys me about it is that it just, again, it has no respect for the original source material, the book or the original film, and kind of it doesn't try to kind of understand the intentions of the creator. Because, like, as someone who's kind of watched the original Texas Chainsaw so many times and, you know, has really kind of invested in it, I just really struggled to believe that Sally, who was, I mean, most likely absolutely traumatized for life from the events of the first film, that she's just gonna want to come back and like face Leatherface and become a ranger and just be like all hard ass. And I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. Now maybe you have a different opinion on that, maybe I'm wrong, but I just really feel like, you know, I think the beauty of the original film is just how kind of traumatic it is and how shocking and horrifying, and I just don't see why she would want to put herself back in that situation. So yeah, for me, it was a step too far in terms of like suspending my disbelief. And they were obviously wanting to do a, you know, the girl gets revenge kind of plot. Look, whatever, but for me, as a big fan of the original, I just didn't think it worked. I thought it was stupid, I thought it was unnecessary, and again, just kind of showed a lack of understanding and appreciation for the original movie. So yeah, like, again, a very pretty much a box standard kind of horror movie done for this kind of modern age, but like it didn't kind of really do anything for me either. This one I did give 1 star, just because again it is a little bit more, it has a kind of a better narrative structure. It has like a, you know, a storyline that's kind of just easier to kind of follow, but yeah, it just, again, not one I will kind of really ever kind of go back to. It's one I'm just kind of intending to ignore and pretend that it just doesn't exist. So that one is the 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre from Netflix. So then next we are going to the year 2015, I think this one is from, and now we have a prequel. So yeah, we have sequels, reboots, prequels, we have pretty much everything in this franchise, and this one, this is actually the first of 2 prequels that I'm going to be showing. So this one is, yeah, as I said, from 2015, and it's called Leatherface. So yeah, just look, again, this wasn't too bad. I will say it's not the worst film I've ever seen, definitely not the worst horror film I've ever seen, but I feel like just this film would be better off if it was maybe a killer's kind of, you know, kind of origin story and not Leatherface. I feel like I'm just kind of keep having to go back to the original one, I think, when I talk about these films, but I think the absolute beauty of the first film is that we have no idea who these crazy people are and kind of why they're doing what they're doing. Why are they killing? You know, kind of who are they? What's their intention? How did they kind of get so crazy? And I kind of feel like by just doing a prequel at all, I feel like we are humanizing the character of Leatherface too much, and I have a big problem with that. Again, I think it just strips a lot of the horror away from the original Leatherface and kind of what his intentions are supposed to be. So in this film, it is basically telling the story of how, you know, kind of Leatherface's life kind of growing up, and his kind of family life, and basically he ends up kind of in an institution, and kind of what life is like for him there, yeah, just basically how he becomes this kind of prolific killer, essentially. So yeah, not to kind of give too much away about kind of how that happens, but I actually kind of find that the film was actually made quite well. Like, it's actually not a bad kind of horror film, but again, just for me, the fact that it is Leatherface and the fact that we're kind of learning too much about the character, for my liking, and like, as I said, it's kind of given too much humanization of the character, and there's even kind of some empathy coming in there with the character, and I just kind of feel like for the fear that we need to experience when we watch Texas Chainsaw, I just think it's, you know, it's pointless, and it's unnecessary, to be honest, to be giving us that much kind of background. So yeah, not a bad made film. has some kind of interesting scenes. It does actually have quite an interesting twist in it as well, or just kind of, you know, something, you know, like a red herring, something that we kind of don't expect to happen. And I thought it was, you know, is quite well done. But just again, for a Texas Chainsaw prequel, I just thought it was fairly unnecessary. So that's why this one gets spot number 7. And I think I gave this one, did I give it 2 or 2.5 maybe? Like, it's okay, but yeah, not, again, just not one I ever feel like I kind of really need to revisit. So then in spot number 6 we have the other prequel, and this one is not a prequel to the original film. This one is a prequel to the remake that came out in 2003, this one I think is from 2005 or 2006, and this one is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. So again, yeah, as I said, it's another prequel, and definitely a different kind of time frame, a different approach, I think, to the Leatherface one. And this one is, you know, in the Leatherface one, the kid, the Leatherface character, is like a child, and we kind of see him growing up. But this one it's kind of more of a, like, an immediate kind of prequel to the events of the 2003 film. Yeah, I know it just all gets very confusing because there's just so many kind of different kind of changes and kind of going back and forward in time. But yeah, this one again, just, did we need this film to exist? I will talk about the 2003 one. Obviously it is on this list, and the 2003 one, again, not to kind of give away too much, but like, it's a good remake. It's done really well, and I just kind of wonder, did we kind of really need to know much more than what we kind of got in that film? But of course, if there's money to be made, they're kind of going to give us more kind of backstory, and they're going to try and give us more kind of content. So yeah, this film, it's pretty much just another kind of bog standard teen slasher film, to be honest. And it just, like, I feel like compared with the other 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I feel like this just, even the characters just lack a lot of personality. There's no kind of enjoyment at all to it, really. It's very very kind of dark all the way through. You know, there's not even kind of any, they kind of try to develop the characters, but they just kind of give us there's no kind of spark to them. They're just very, very kind of bland characters. Yeah, just very kind of NPC kind of characters, nothing really interesting to them at all. And again, kind of, I feel like when you have characters that are that kind of banal, like, you just really, again, you don't really kind of give a shit if they die, to be honest. I know it's really bad, but they just kind of don't really give us kind of much to kind of hold on to or kind of root for. I will say the kind of main kind of redeeming quality about this film is the performance from R. Lee Ermey, who is just fantastic in everything that he's in. He is in the 2003 one, and he's in this one, he plays the sheriff. So we kind of get a little bit more of a backstory of him and kind of how he is associated to the kind of killer family in Leatherface. So for that reason, it's okay, it's watchable, but it's a little bit kind of dull, a little bit boring. Again, the characters don't kind of give you too much to kind of work with, and yeah, it just feels like it's just another kind of unnecessary entry into this franchise. And yeah, for me, again, unfortunately, another kind of one I'm not going to kind of go back and revisit. I don't think, it's just yeah, there's just kind of not much to really say about this one either. Just very, very unremarkable, I think, in terms of a prequel and an entry into the franchise, unfortunately. So then next, in the 5th place spot, we have a sequel to the original, and this one is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and it's just called Leatherface. So it is this one here. So this was another first time watch for me. I had never seen the third film, and yeah, like I feel like I've been just literally so negative in this video so far, but yeah, I have to be honest with you, this one is just another really kind of boring kind of unremarkable entry into this franchise. Like, obviously I'm putting it higher than the ones I've spoken about already. I do think it's a little bit better than those ones, but still, there's not much to kind of write home about this one either. But yeah, in this one, it's essentially it's kind of starts out as like a road trip kind of movie. So there's these two kind of students, and they're basically driving coast to coast. I think they're driving from like New York to LA or something like that, and they drive through Texas, and obviously when they go through Texas, they as you can kind of imagine, they do encounter the Sawyer family and Leatherface, and they basically kind of just get hunted by the character. So yeah, what I think kind of makes this one like a little bit different is that we do kind of get to meet some more members of the family, and yeah, kind of get introduced to some more members of the family, and including a very young kind of Viggo Mortensen, who is kind of one of these crazy members. I actually can't even remember which character he plays or what the character's name is, but yeah, it's okay. I remember thinking one or two of the kind of the kills were kind of interesting, but other than that, again, it's pretty boring. It kind of starts out okay and it just gets a little bit dull. Definitely just like none of these kind of have anywhere near the kind of horror of the original. I have to keep going back to the original all the time, but this one, yeah, it just lacks any of the tension, the terror, the fear of the original one. I kind of feel like this one and some of the other ones as well, they probably actually wouldn't be too bad of a horror film if it just wasn't a part of the Texas Chainsaw kind of franchise. I just feel like if you're selling yourself as a Leatherface film, if it's going to be a Texas Chainsaw film, I just feel like it has to deliver on the terror. Like, it has to be horrifying, and I just feel like this probably would be an okay film, but it just doesn't have the same level of terror and dread as the original. And I just feel like if you're not going to kind of, you know, maintain that kind of standard, then I just don't really see the point in even trying to do another Leatherface film. So yeah, just a little bit just unremarkable again for me, unfortunately, and yeah, boring, just a little bit forgettable, to be honest. So yeah, unfortunately, that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 Leatherface, and that is at spot number 5. So then next in spot number 4, I feel like we're starting to get a little bit better now, so we're on the up. So the next one is from 1986, and it is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. So yeah, this one, look, I know obviously I've been kind of talking about, you know, films having to kind of live up to the original film, but I feel like I actually don't mind this film in the fact that it's not trying to be the first film. This film, directed by Tobe Hooper, it's trying to be something completely different, and it's trying to do something different with the characters from the original. So for that, I can kind of get on board, and I can I guess leave my kind of prejudice and everything kind of behind from the first film and just kind of try to enjoy this one. And it is really a very enjoyable film. It's nowhere near kind of as good or as successful like a horror film as the original one, but I still feel like there's a lot in this to kind of enjoy. So this film is essentially about the character kind of played by Dennis Hopper. He's kind of the main character, and he's a Texas Ranger whose family member was basically butchered in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and so he is out for revenge. And I think kind of for that to happen after the original film, I think that makes a lot of sense in terms of the actual canon itself. So yeah, he, along with the help of this radio DJ, you know, his mission is basically to find the Sawyer family and basically kind of kill them and put an end to the kind of suffering that they've kind of been putting other people through. So this one, it's interesting as well in the fact that it doesn't take place in the kind of the original kind of farmhouse. So they basically have kind of carved out these kind of underground like tunnels, these kind of underground this kind of realm basically of the Sawyer family, where they now kind of dwell, and they kind of live basically you know, out of sight and everything of the kind of general public. So it's basically like a whole basically layer where they can kind of just do all the kind of crazy shit that they do. So I have to say the actual the setting and everything is just so incredibly done. It's really, really just like absolutely fantastic. It's definitely more like much more elaborate than the first film. And the first film is very, I think it's quite kind of modest in terms of the way it's kind of shot and the setting and everything like that, whereas this one is definitely way more elaborate. And then this one, what's kind of definitely different about this one is the tone. The tone is completely different from the first one. It's a lot more satirical, a lot more tongue-in-cheek, and a lot more definitely just a lot more kind of whimsical, I think, in general than the original one. So look, I kind of don't mind it. I think it is a fun direction to kind of take the characters in, and especially the character of Drayton, who I just think is really kind of funny in this film. He just kind of goes all out there, and so I do think it's an interesting way to take the characters. It's obviously never going to have the same kind of level of terror or fear as the original, but I don't think it's kind of intending to do that. But it's definitely an entertaining film. It's a fun watch. It's definitely rewatchable. Yeah, I don't think every single kind of line or joke or everything kind of lands in this film, but I kind of do appreciate what they have kind of done with it, and what Tobe Hooper basically does with this film, and the direction that he kind of took the characters in. So yeah, again, not a bad one. It's not incredible, but it's definitely enjoyable. It's rewatchable, and you know, it is a lot of fun. Like, it's 80s kind of camp wacky fun, and it is enjoyable. But as I said, it's definitely not up in like the top 3 for me, but still an enjoyable ride all the same. So yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is the next one. So then next in spot number 3, now we're really kind of starting to get good, finally. So this one in third place, I have put the 2003 the remake of the original one, and it is just called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So yeah, and I have kind of said so many times before, I'm not a big remake person, not a big reboot person, but I do have to say this is a fantastic remake. It's really, really well done. I think for me, obviously I love the fact that the original one is set in the 70s. I just love the culture of the 70s, and the aesthetic and everything is just absolutely fantastic. But then also I kind of grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, so while this one is also set in the 70s, it does have that kind of nostalgic early 2000s kind of aesthetic and kind of feeling to it, which I really, really like. And it kind of just takes me back to being a kid in the early 2000s. And I kind of just remember when this came out, and yeah, just the look of it and everything is very early 2000s. So yeah, this one, it's a retelling of the original one, but it's definitely embellished. There's a lot more elements to it, and there's kind of some more characters that are introduced, and it's kind of done in its own kind of way while staying kind of relatively kind of true to the original film. It does take some of the events of the original film and kind of reimagines them, and some of the elements I think work really, really well. Like for example, I know in the first one we get the kind of hitchhiker, so there is a scene in this where it's not a hitchhiker they pick up, but there is basically there is someone off the side of the road that they do pick up, and it becomes very kind of traumatic, I guess. Obviously I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but they do kind of mix that up a little bit, and it does work, I think, really, really well for the story. Yeah, I think the horror elements are there. They're really good. I feel like there is definitely like that kind of sense of fear, that sense of dread, that sense of kind of terror is definitely there. I do think they do justice to that, and it does have that kind of a lot of the similar feeling from the first one, that it's very sweaty, very dirty, very kind of icky, and just kind of, it does kind of stay true to that kind of element of the first film, which I really, really like. So for a remake, it's really, really solid, really enjoyable, very kind of rewatchable, and yeah, it's just like, it's a fun time, it's a fun ride. Jessica Biel is very good in this as well, and she's kind of just has that kind of very cool kind of outfit with the hat and like the kind of t-shirt that's kind of rolled up, and she looks really cool. And it's just, for me, it's just very evocative of kind of the early 2000s and kind of growing up, and just the horror movies and everything that were coming out at that time. So yeah, what can I say? It is just a highly rewatchable, highly entertaining, fun horror movie, and it really does do justice to the original film, which I don't feel like you can say a lot about remakes. So yeah, 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, really good entry into the franchise and really enjoyable film. So now we are up to spot number 2, and I feel like if there's any like diehard kind of Texas Chainsaw fans watching this video, I feel like I'm going to get in trouble now and people are going to start switching off. But I have to be honest, and this is just a ranking of how, you know, kind of how enjoyable I find each film. So I'm in number 2. I'm gonna have to put this one. It is Texas Chainsaw 2013, and I think this was released as Texas Chainsaw 3D. Yeah, like, look, I know I literally just said I'm not a fan of like reboots and remakes and everything like that, but this film, I find this film so freaking enjoyable, and I don't know what it is about this film. So yeah, this one, just to try and give a little bit of context, so this film kind of starts basically straight after the original. So it is that's kind of where it starts out, and we kind of find that the character Sally, she's kind of gotten away. She's gone off on the back of the truck, and basically, obviously, she goes and reports it to the police. The police then kind of rock up. That's kind of where it starts. They rock up to the Sawyer house, as well as basically an angry mob of kind of neighbours and kind of townspeople. They all kind of rock up to this house as well, basically looking for justice. And I'm not going to kind of go into too much about what happens. I really don't want to spoil the film, but essentially in kind of, we fast forward then to the present day, which is 2013. And in 2013 we meet the character of Heather, who we find out is Leatherface's cousin. And the story is basically about how she kind of reconnects with Leatherface, and how, you know, she finds herself kind of acquainted with Leatherface. And yeah, I kind of don't want to say too much about that, because the actual story itself is quite enjoyable. Well, I find it's enjoyable. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out and kind of see how that all kind of unfolds, and how she kind of finds out, and yeah, just the kind of the path that kind of leads her to that point. But okay, I'm gonna get the main thing out of the way first, is that huge plot holes going on here in this film. This is by no means a perfect film. So this film, as I said, it starts out straight after the original, which is 1973. So and then we find out that Leatherface's cousin, who was a baby at the start of this film in 1973, she is in her 20s in 2013. It makes absolutely no sense. So if you are going to watch this film, definitely just, again, suspend your disbelief. Just don't even think about it. It doesn't make any sense, but I feel like just it's an enjoyable enough ride that you can kind of just pretend that doesn't exist. But yeah, what can I say? This film is just a lot of fun. It's just so entertaining. It has some really cool kills, some good kind of chase sequences. The setting and everything is really cool. I do like the character played by Alexandra Daddario. She plays the cousin Heather. All her friends are absolute assholes, like dickheads, and you know, as you can imagine, in a slasher movie, they do kind of meet their fate. But and then as there is in a lot of kind of more up-to-date slashers, there is a lot of cheesiness, and there's a lot of scenes that you're kind of like cringing at a little bit, but like, to be honest, I just kind of find it just so entertaining and fun that I just kind of am just able to kind of go along for the ride, and I just find it really enjoyable. I did see this one in the cinema, and it was a 3D. So as you can imagine, there are a couple of moments that are a little bit silly, like where the kind of chainsaw is coming in at your face and all this kind of thing, but it's not kind of so bad that it kind of detracts from the film. I definitely think it's just a fun watch. A couple of beers, throw this film on, a few snacks, and you have a good night in store. So it's again, like, it's it doesn't really make any sense to the first film. There's a lot of plot holes, a lot of silliness, but look, what can I say, it's a lot of fun and it's so enjoyable and entertaining. So that's, for me, it just puts it up there. I just have to put it at number 2 because it genuinely, like, compared to all the ones I've spoken about kind of up to now, it is the one I enjoy the most, so it just has to be at the number 2 spot. And this one does have cameos from Marilyn Burns, who plays Sally in the original, and from Gunnar Hansen, who plays Leatherface in the original as well. So it definitely has that kind of nice connection to the first film. So yeah, Texas Chainsaw 3D is at my number 2 spot. And then finally at number 1, there's just no prizes for guessing what's going to be at number 1. I just think it was pretty obvious from the start. It has to be the original and the best Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1973. As I've kind of said before, it's a horror classic. It is terrifying, horrific. It's so morbid, so macabre. Just like, it just gives you that kind of, that sense of terror, that just icky kind of feeling when you watch it, and I just think it is absolutely brilliant. I think kind of one thing as well that strikes me every single time I watch this film is just how incredible the performance from Marilyn Burns is in this film as Sally. I just think, like, what a performance. And I know if you kind of look into this film and kind of some of the behind the scenes and everything, you know, with kind of Toby Hooper and the cast and the crew and everything on set, it sounds like it was a rough shoot to kind of make this film. It sounds like, you know, it was very kind of tough, especially for Marilyn Burns as Sally, to kind of basically kind of put up with what she had to put up with on set. Definitely kind of look into it. It's really interesting, and a lot of stuff kind of going on that you would never kind of get away with today. But I kind of feel like, kind of regardless of kind of everything she went through, just the performance that she gives in this film is just absolutely sensational. Like, she like, what a performance she gives. I mean, she just maintains that level of terror just consistently throughout, and it just never wanes. And I just think that last shot of her in the back of the truck, where she's screaming, she's like nearly crying, she is screaming, but then she's kind of starts laughing because it's like this kind of maniacal laugh that she like can't believe she got away. And I just think that is such a powerful scene, and just such a powerful performance, and it just blows me away every single time I watch it. It's just incredible. Again, just the terror of this film, the characters, just Leatherface's first appearance, oh my god, it just makes my heart sink. And yeah, there's just so many moments in this film that are just horror gold. Just an absolutely incredible film, a classic, and like, there's no way, like, I feel like we will ever get a horror film like this ever again. I just feel like those days are over. It's just too, like, it's almost like it's too much. It's too kind of horrifying, and it makes me sad that we're never going to get kind of horror films like this anymore. But I'm just so glad that this exists. It's just an absolute horror gem, and I adore this film. So yeah, it's obviously going to be at my number 1 spot, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 1973. So yeah, that is my Texas Chainsaw rankings. So these are all the titles in order. So at number 1 we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Texas Chainsaw 3D, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, Leatherface, then we have Texas Chainsaw 2022, and then finally at the very bitter end is Texas Chainsaw Massacre The Next Generation. So that is my full ranking. So yeah, definitely please let me know down below which is your favorite in the franchise, and obviously if it's going to be the first one, please let me know maybe which other one that you do like, because I know probably the original is probably going to be at most people's kind of number 1 spot. So definitely let me know which other ones in the franchises you like if you have seen them. I'd really love to know your thoughts. But yeah, if you are still watching this video, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I would love to do another one of these horror rankings at some point soon. So if I do have like another day off, I might do another marathon, maybe like Halloween or something like that, and then maybe give my ranking. But yeah, as I said, if you are still watching this video, thank you so much, and I really look forward to speaking to you in the next video. Bye.